Okay, so I'm just going to say thank you to Julia for taking off special time. She's spending special time with mummy, which is the gift of having mummy and also being able to spend that special time. And we tracked you down. Julia actually lives in Golders Green. No, she doesn't. She lives really in Yerushalayim. She happens to be now in South Africa, resides in Golders Green, and honestly and truly is an absolute blessing to spend any time that you can on her couch with your feet in her hands. And that is literal, that once you leave, you can have a little bit of a float. And that's why I thought it was just so beautiful and important for us to maybe just to have Julia share some of what is energy and how do we get there. So, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for that very kind introduction and welcome. And really a pleasure to be with you and to talk about energy and healing, because, you know, I'm mad about it. And the longer I do this, the more in awe I am of the power of energy and healing and what it means to be a human being and how we heal and how we interact with the world. So I wish we had lots of sunshine here in South Africa. It does look bright behind me outside, but it's horrible.
Say something. It's just the reason that Julia is on the side at the moment is because she is screen sharing a presentation, and then she'll come properly on.
And I'm happy also. So I'm screen sharing, and if your internet's not great, that means that you can see if I do cut out what I'm more or less talking about. So, but anytime you don't hear me, please let me know, and we'll stop. And if you've got any questions as well, I don't know what everybody's background is, but it's a spiritual spa, so obviously you're all there for some spiritual healing, for some energetic healing, for physical healing, and I hope you're all getting that in the spades and the buckets that you need and you want. And yeah, let me hopefully teach you a little bit of something or show you a little bit and share a little bit. I'm open for questions. I know I have a little bit of time, so we're just going to touch briefly on all these bits and pieces, but I welcome and invite anybody to contact me afterwards and ask questions if they'd like to. And also, if possible, I'm assuming I still have half an hour, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can, we'll leave 5 minutes at the end and we can do a little energetic meditation as well, just to get you guys all in the right space today, or even higher if you're already in a good space. So we'll see how we go with time. Okay, but welcome everybody, and I really do hope that you find this enjoyable, entertaining, informative, and as I said, I'm here for questions. So energy and healing, what it's all about. How do we know that energy exists? What is energy? You know, we talk about it quite glibly, and a lot of us are not necessarily aware that we are energetic beings or we live in an energetic world. But let's put on our little hats for a minute and let's go back to school and physics 101, science. How do we know about energy? Well, we know that our universe is made up of atoms, and atoms are the smallest particle known to man. They can't be broken down anymore. An atom on its own is one thing, but when it gets together with its friends, it becomes a little molecule. You'll see at the bottom of the page. And molecules all vibrate. And when they vibrate, and they vibrate at particular frequencies, they give off light and they give off heat, and that's something we can measure. And it's true for every single thing in the known universe, whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal, whether it's the clouds in the sky, whether it's us as human beings, we all vibrate with a frequency. And more than that, everything resonates at its own unique and ideal frequency. So your liver has one frequency, your brain has one frequency, the plants outside have one frequency, light has one, colors have their own, whatever it is, everything has it. So we know it exists, and we are very much part of that dynamic, part of the universe. For those of us who don't even know about biology and science and chemistry, and we're not really that interested, the fact is we use it in our everyday language, because we are so attuned to energy, whether we really feel it or we don't. So we have our sixth sense, which is called intuition and spirituality, and we'll talk more about that later. We're going to talk more about the physical part of the world at the moment. We are something called sentient beings. And being a sentient being means that we have the ability to feel and perceive things on many levels, okay? But coming back to the vocabulary and the language that we use, we often say we feel off, we feel down, that person's the light of my life. I don't want to breathe with that person today. They're bringing down my energy. Or I'm in a room, we'll know, we walk into a room and we'll say it's got a great vibe. You know that when you meet somebody, you really like them or you don't like them right away. What are you tuning into? You're tuning into their frequency, their vibration, their energy. And it either mixes with yours and raises you, or it actually brings you down. So you know that you don't really want to be with somebody who's grumpy and miserable and complaining. It actually just brings us down, brings our own vibrational frequency down. And we try and avoid those people like the plague. Does that make sense, everybody? Any questions? Please ask away. Okay, so energy and our senses. What influences us? How do we feel the influences? And what can we engage in to help us to vibrate at an optimal vibrational frequency or energetic state? One where we're healthy, we're mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, physically healthy. So, as I said to you before, we are energetic beings. We're connected to the universe. The universe has its own vibrations and frequency, every single thing in the world, and we feel those to some degree or not, depending on whether you feel things, see things, hear things, or how high your energy is attuned. So the first one, if we have a look in the corner, and I've tried to put my hand in the screen, we've got the sun and the moon. So we are attuned to the seasons of the world. We are tuned to the light that we see. We need to have light in our bodies, a certain amount of light, and you'll hear that it actually affects our brain waves. The moon, that's probably the most common that everybody knows. You know, the moon has phases in the month. We have eclipses. If you're into astrology, if you know anything about that, you'll find that all the planets in the sky affect us. And in fact, in Judaism, the months affect us as well. We know that we have a certain energy in every month, and we are entrained to that, to feel particular things or to try and feel particular things, feelings and sensations. Our physical state of health. So are we feeling poorly? Obviously, if we're not feeling well, our vibrational frequency is going to be low. So we're not going to feel great. But the question is, are we feeling physically unwell before we feel mentally and emotionally unwell? Or are we feeling mentally and emotionally unwell, and that leads to a physical dis-ease or a discordance in our body? The bottom picture, some people may recognize it, some people may not recognize it. The 7 energy centers in our body comes from Indian mysticism, Ayurvedic medicine, the chakras. So that understanding says that we have 7 energy centers in our body. Each one develops at a certain level in our development in our life. And so we have a mental and emotional well-being, but we also have the physical aspects of that part of our body. So those need to be in harmony. They need to be well developed in order for us to be well functioning, happy, healthy, eventually adults, but even children. They're associated with colors. And in energy medicine, we can see those colors, we can feel those colors, and we can shift those colors as well, and shift the vibrational frequency to the optimal state. One thing, so what I want to say was, so for example, the throat chakra, they're called chakras, so the blue around the throat, if it's in balance, if it's in harmony, you're going to be able to speak easily, you're going to be able to speak your truth, you're going to have no problem with communication. People who don't have a strong throat chakra, where it hasn't developed well, where there's an issue, are going to find themselves having throat problems. They're going to have infections and issues going on in their throat. They're not going to be able to express themselves well. And the cool thing and the interesting thing about energy is that we can work to fix that. In fact, I even had a client a few years ago who came in with that particular issue. And after several sessions, she's a whole different person. She really expresses herself well. We work particularly on her throat chakra. She expresses herself well. She doesn't have any issues in her throat. And it was quite an amazing thing to see, an amazing transformation to see. The next one to that is a before and after picture. And I don't know if it's big enough on your screen, you can see. It's a cluttered room and a rather empty room. The concept of feng shui comes from Chinese. So energy flows everywhere. And the concept of feng shui is that when there's too much energy, when things are not placed well and the energy is blocked from flowing through doors and windows, it's going to create discordance for us. And that frequency is going to bring us down. And again, I love telling everybody that one of my son, who was gorgeous child, loved tidying up. When he got to a teenager, he became really lazy, really horrible as teenagers are. And I would go into his room and I would just roll my eyes. I am very sensitive to the energy in a room. And instead of nagging him, because obviously nagging didn't work, one day I said to him, I explained to him about feng shui and energy flowing through the room. And when he would be grumpy or upset or ill or what have you, overwhelmed, I explained to him that there was too much stuff going on in his room, too much stuff on the floor, too much stuff here, there, everywhere. And he loved that idea. And I've never had to nag or ask him to tidy up his room again. He will look around his room now and say, the feng shui in here is bad. I feel revolting. 1 + 1 = 2. I've got to do something about it. And invariably he feels better. It's a really interesting concept. The next one to that are the 5 elements, also comes from Chinese. So the Chinese many, many years ago, thousands of years ago, looked to understand human beings and emotional and physical well-being. They looked to the elements of the world, earth, wood, fire, metal, and they understood human beings to function well by incorporating these 5 elements. It's a whole really quite complex, quite interesting concept, but people do definitely vibrate at different frequencies when we are, as you'll see to the next picture, is in nature, the colors around us. We know that colors, everything has a frequency, their own frequency on wavelengths, colors and light, we can measure that. And that also has a definite effect of well-being on us. So are you outside in nature? Are you grounded with the earth's energy? Are you stuck inside? Are you sitting around with technology? Is that bringing your energy down? Is it draining you? Is it creating disharmony in your frequencies? And then finally, the little picture at the top with all those little people. We are in tune with the people around us. As I said to you before, we use that language. So we know when we meet somebody, we either love somebody or we don't love them. We don't understand why, but we're actually in training and in tuning and vibrating with their frequency. So are they in a good vibrational frequency? Do they make us feel good? Do they make us feel supported? Or are they bringing us down? So these are the different ways that we are sensing. Right, now, there's a little quote from a lady called Chloe Faith Wordsworth. She's a lady that I use in my own healing, and she's created a whole healing therapy, if you like. She has incorporated all therapies, East and Western, and we work with it intuitively. It's really interesting. And I love her quote because it really puts succinctly what I want to say. She says, we're like a radio receiver. We tune into specific frequency vibrations and the informational programs that they carry. The frequency range we resonate with attunes us to either health or disease, success or failure, joy or misery, and to positive or negative ways of thinking, feeling, and acting. The quality of our own life, down to the smallest detail, depends on the kind of frequencies we resonate with. So that begs the question, what frequency do you resonate with? And what frequency would you like to resonate with? And I'm here to tell you that you can change the frequencies that you resonate with, okay? So as an energetic resonance, when we are energetically in our optimal range, we experience joy, wonder, love. We're compassionate, we're open, we're happy, we're relaxed. Nothing can change that. The world can be falling down around us, and we are coping. We are in a good space. We're also physically very, very well. We're vital, we're energetic, and everything is working beautifully. But obviously, when we're not resonating within that optimal frequency range, we are everything that's negative. We're irritated, we're frustrated, we are angry, we are uneasy, we're addicted, we've got anxiety issues, we create addictive patterns and worries, we're constantly exhausted, and we're going to look in our bodies and we're going to say, oh, I've got a sore throat, I've got a headache, I've got a cold, I've got this, that, and the next thing. And so how do you know when you're not free in a good space energetically? When you're in the second section, when you are all of those, what we would call negative states of being. Not to say that being irritated and frustrated and uneasy don't have their places also in our own development and makes us assess the world and what needs to be changed. Well, gives us that space for introspection, but it generally means that we're not in our highest range. And as I said to you before, everything has a frequency that's measurable. So we know that for human beings to optimally function, you've got to have a body temperature that is just within a certain range. Your blood pressure has to be just within a certain range. They even have done experiments where people, when they think bad or negative thoughts, they actually can measure the DNA strands in their body, shortening and tightening. And I think that's absolutely fascinating. So anything that's not within those ranges, obviously, I'm sorry, my hand's in the way. So your body temperature's wrong, your blood pressure's wrong, you're not going to survive for very long. And that is, you know, super interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the 5 senses and maybe the 6, and actually the 6 senses. And we're going to just talk about energy healing with using all of those before we get to the 6th intuitive spiritual sense. So, because I think a lot of times we forget that we do heal in all of these ways. Everything is intrinsically linked. We're dynamic. You actually can't heal one without healing the other. But there are interesting ways of healing. So the first sense is a sense of sight. We know we've got, we all know what our 5 senses are. But the first is a sense of sight. So in the study of photobiology, and by the way, as much as I'm esoteric and intuitive and spiritual, I also love science. I love to understand really tachlis. How does the body work? What is science about? What is physics about? What is chemistry about? So that it really, you know, marries and does make much sense as possible. So in the study of photobiology, which photo is the word for light, and biology is obviously for organisms. We study it. I'm not included in that, but there are studies. We understand what photosynthesis, how plants use light to grow, what happens to our skin when we've got too much light and we burn, and those kinds of things. Photomedicine, where they use laser therapy now to break down tumors and fix issues in the body. And of course, the diurnal rhythms, which are the day and night, when we don't have enough light. In the natural world, things like glowworms don't exist anymore in large parts of the world. Why? Because we have light pollution. Too much light in the world stops these little organisms from being able to function as they were meant to, as they were created. And so this all goes into that sense of light. When we don't have enough light stimulation, we feel depressed, we might even feel confused, and we can feel physical pain in our bodies. So it's really interesting to know that some of the therapies that involve sight also relate just to eye movements. So again, we live in a world where we're always addicted. Most of us are addicted to our screens. We're always looking. We're not looking up. We don't see the world around us. We don't see the sunlight. We don't allow the sunlight to come into our eyes. We're not moving our eyes around enough. And again, studies have shown that eye movements help to synchronize brain impulses. Just that alone, never mind then over and above the light, but that we have the world of color, and that each color has a unique healing property on the spectrum that balance us emotionally and physically. And so you can go for something like chrome therapy at the bottom. I've written down, or we'll get to that in a second. But last of all, we've also got our inner vision. So we do have our sight that needs to come inside so that we can radiate positivity and joy. If you're not feeling positive and joy on the inside, you're not feeling happy, that's not going to come out to the outside. All of these, again, are going to affect our physical and our emotional states. So how do we balance our colors and our light? And the clothing and the jewelry that we wear. So one of the things I mentioned before was that I had this client who had a problem with her throat chakra and expressing herself. So what I suggested to her was that she wore a blue scarf or a blue necklace. This aligns with the color of the throat chakra, blue, and that she wore that for quite a while. Every day she would put on something to strengthen and to heal this particular area of her body. And as I said, within a couple of months, she had literally transformed. We use crystals. I am not a big into crystals, but crystals come from nature. They have a color, they have an energy. And although I keep on saying I'm not big into crystals, I'm invariably walking around with crystals in my hand. And anybody who's been to my room will see that there are lots of crystals in my room. And occasionally we can use them for the chakra balancing, or my clients will spontaneously hold a crystal, imbuing that color, imbuing the energy of the crystal into their system. Again, we mentioned before, nature, going outside having the colors of nature, greens and blues, are extraordinarily healing and calming and soothing. And one of the most beautiful colors around people when they are healing is blue, actually. When my clients are in a state of blue, I know that they're in a state of unbelievable calmness, which is magnificent to see. Decor, I've written. When I was studying the world of color, and it's really fascinating, I was so intrigued to learn that the best color used in prisons for calming people down is not the color you would think. I would have thought it's white or maybe a pale blue, but actually the color that they use in prisons, especially for violent prisoners, is pale pink. Can you imagine that? But it's not so unimaginable, because the pink energy is our heart, one of the colors of our heart energy. And so to wear pink imbues love and warmth and compassion. Color therapy in itself, there are many people who practice color therapy. You're going to go there, they're going to tell you, you need to wear this color, that color, the next color. We're working on all of those colors with our visual senses to imbue them into our physical sense as well. And then, of course, we've got the chakra balancing, which I mentioned before. The next sense is our sense of smell. And really interesting, again, a lot of research being taken and done, and never mind that the fact that smell has been used for ages and ages, centuries and centuries. Excuse my nose, is just running a little bit. It's quite cold here today, and I've got a sensitive nose. So fragrances have a significant and measurable effect on mental and emotional states, okay? And they do calm us down. They do reduce stress, apathy. They increase happiness and relaxation and stimulation. And invariably, if you're going to go and have a massage somewhere, you're going to go into some therapeutic room, there's going to be some incense burning, some candles burning. We all love that smell. The essential oils in themselves have been inhaled, ingested, and placed on the body forever and a day, especially in the Indian cultures. I'm really just more focusing on the essential oils. So if you know about them, they're basically plant extracts. And again, it's kind of quite common knowledge that lavender is very relaxing and soothing. We use it for sleeping. Bless you to anybody who sneezed. And reduces anxiety. And you can first of all, the most important thing about the oils, I would say, is that one shouldn't really use them without any kind of guidance, because they can be toxic. You can be sensitive. As lovely as they are, they can be quite harmful. And it's really important to rather go where somebody can guide you. But we know that they either lift us or they calm us. And even things like coffee, which is the first thing I've written, they know that before you've even drunk coffee, never mind the fact that we know that coffee is a stimulant, the smell of coffee is a stimulant. So how interesting is that? And you're going to find that not only with essential oils, but in lots of different things. Smells also evoke memories. So, and I'm sure that we all have a special smell from our childhood. As adults, we go into a room, or we smell a perfume on somebody. It takes us back to a lovely space and time from before. And that, again, is going to calm us and soothe us. Aromatherapies, burning candles, having the essential oils, all these kinds of things are a way of healing and getting us into a better emotional and mental state. Any questions, anybody? Am I going too fast? Are you hearing me?
Question.
Yes.
Hi. When you were talking about colours and shades of blue that help them, is there any particular shade? Is royal blue better than pale blue?
So they all have their own vibrational frequency, but invariably I find that our intuition is going to draw us to the right color. So whether within the spectrum, it doesn't really make too much difference. And you're going to, it doesn't really matter. Choose whatever you need to, or whatever you have. You know, if we get very pedantic about it, no one's going to manage to be finding the right accessories. So I would say within the range, it's all good.
Thank you.
Okay. Pleasure. So sense of touch is the next, and the one we probably know more commonly. And that is, of course, there's lots of research about how consensual, safe skin contact supports us physically, emotionally, and mentally. Okay, slow touch slows the heart and the brain waves, stimulates the vagus nerve, which is for our autonomic nervous system, which regulates our whole body, stimulates endorphin release. Endorphins make us feel better. Our whole body is, and our skin has got these wonderful nerve receptors. As soon as you touch them, we feel better. There is, even for those people who say they don't feel better and they don't like touch, for whatever reason, they have some issues, but ultimately they do feel better, and especially where it's a calm, soothing, gentle touch. My passion, the feet, 8,000 nerve endings in your feet. Can you imagine? Reflexology, which is just wonderful, and our whole body is mapped in the feet. And there's been wonderful research done. So we love reflexology because it's safe and non-invasive touch. So research was done for teenage boys in America many years ago. Boys who were in homes where they had no parents, and the reflexology that was done for these boys because they weren't really touched in any other way. But after a few sessions, or maybe even after 1 or 2 sessions, they all calmed down significantly. Their behavior was significantly altered, much less aggressive, much less distressed, just from the touch on the feet. The fact that we stimulate the whole body and we're supporting the whole body is a separate issue. But just that safe touch on the feet, non-invasive, non-threatening, is wonderful. And we use that also quite a lot with I'm sorry, my brain has suddenly gone to sleep. Special needs people, because again, it's far away from the body, from the face, from where we might perceive danger. And it's just a very soothing, fantastic way to access the body. The touch alone is worth 1,000 words. And then, of course, what we can do with reflexology is another story. We're not going to go there right now. Acupuncture, acupressure, and meridian energies. So when we're having that contact, even if your thing is having an acupuncture, we're stimulating the nerves again in the skin before you get down to the meridian and the energy pathway. So again, from the Chinese, if you don't know anything about it, we have energy centers running right through our body called meridian energy. So they run along the lines, and acupuncture, acupressure, and meridian energy all understands this concept, as well as reflexology also works along meridian energy points. Acupressure, no needles. We're touching, so that gentle touch again, or deeper touch to stimulate a point on the body. Before you've gone further to touch the energy point, you're touching the skin. We know that energy pathways, certainly in Eastern philosophy, energy pathways that are blocked lead to dis-ease or disease, okay? And yin and yang balancing points. So yin and yang, again, related to the meridian energy. And all we do really for that is we touch, again, particular points on our body. So one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. You're touching your skin, even if you're doing it through clothes. Your clothes are touching your skin, creating a stimulation which is calming. Your hands are imparting that energy, and we get to balance the body and calm it down or stimulate. And again, we've got the chakra balancing points. So again, if we're not using crystals, we might be using our hands over those points. You can put your hand over your throat, you can put your hand on your third eye, you can put your hand on the top of your head, wherever it is, we're touching, and it's that sense of touch, which is so phenomenal because we are designed for touch. So how the best ways? Massage, and it's got to be moderate to gentle massage. Anything that's painful or hurts you, you're going to put you into a state of distress and anxiety, and you're not going to get the same benefits from it. A hug, the easiest thing in the whole world. Hug somebody. 1 second, 2 seconds of a hug with that physical contact creates this fantastic endorphin release, which makes us feel better. Reflexology, my favorite. Reiki, where we're just touching above the body. Not really quite the same, but we're stimulating those energy meridians. And there is a little bit of touch, depending on if the person is coming close to you or not. And then, of course, acupuncture, if you just want the needles. But these senses of touch are going to make a huge difference to our sense of well-being. Sense of hearing, the sound of your voice, the effect of song and harmonious overtones and harmonic overtones, the impact of words, how they affect us. is quite a whole fascinating topic on its own. Not one that I really know that much about, but we certainly know when we sing, when we play music, when we hear great things, we know that we feel better. And it's interesting to know that sounds create patterns in the matter around us. Harmonious sounds are going to create pretty and geometric patterns, and discordant sounds create very chaotic patterns. Underneath here, I've got a picture of this picture, and this word cymatics is all about the geometry of sound, and pioneered by a man called Hans Jenny, who found that when he played sound, and he must have done it into some sand, or they do it in water as well, that we got that these were the patterns that were created. And you look at that piano note, look how beautiful it is. All of the different sounds create a beautiful, geometric, harmonious picture. And I just think that's fascinating, something that we're not necessarily aware of, but we instinctively know when somebody's shouting, when there's discordant, when there's noise and hubbub, gives us a headache. We don't want to be there. It really just disturbs us. We want to be out of there. We would much rather be somewhere quiet, gentle, the sound of a babbling brook, the sound of a fountain, whatever it is that soothes us. We want to sing. We want to hear beautiful music. These are all going to calm us or stimulate us, again, depending on what we need to do. And the way we can heal ourselves, again, is humming is very, very good, again, used in Indian, Ayurvedic, used in Chinese. They use it in yoga. Laughter is a wonderful, wonderful expression and a release of endorphins. That harmonious sound, we all love the sound of babies laughing. Self-expression, being able just to verbalize what you need to get off your chest, in an easy way, in something that's not discordant, no shouting, no aggression, is the most wonderful way of healing. Music, and then of course, as we go back to that throat chakra activation, which I think is fascinating as well. And something else that I just heard the other day, I love cats. I have a cat, and there was a program on cats, and they're doing research into cats. And what they found with cats is that cats don't really meow to other cats. They meow to human beings. Well, why would that be? We don't understand what a meow means. But what they found was that a cat's meow is the same frequency as a baby's cry. And I just thought that was awesome, because what do we do when babies cry? We respond to them. We want to go and help them. When a cat meows to us, in the same radio frequency, we want to go and help that cat. And I said, Hashem works in the most mysterious, amazing ways. And so the sound of hearing and the sense of hearing is another fantastic way of healing. Again, my finger's in the way, and I apologize. Any questions? Any comments? We're running out of time, I can think. Hello, anybody there? Still there?
Yeah, no one here.
Sense of taste. I think we've got to get on with it because my time is coming to an end and we haven't done anything. So sense of taste, really, we know to eat nourishing, healthy food. That's really pretty much what we can say. When we're eating healthy, nourishing food, we're vibrating at a mental, emotional, and physical well-being, the highest that we can. We eat rubbish, we're going to feel horrible. We're not even going to go into the biology of all of that. We can talk quickly about essential oils. And again, they've done research, as they are trying to do it, that things like peppermint oil can definitely relieve irritable bowel. We know if you've got an upset tummy, if you're dyspepsia, you're grepsing a lot, you're burping, we want to have peppermints. That's definitely going to soothe part of our body down. Edward Bach, I love his Bach flower essences. I use them for emotional well-being. He was a doctor at the turn of the last century. He was highly intuitive. He was not a well man, so he couldn't really, he worked as a GP, but when the war came in 1918, he couldn't go off to fight. Instead, what he did was, when the soldiers came back, he started to work with them, and he was probably one of the first people to recognize PTSD. He was highly intuitive. He went outside, and when he went outside and he would stand next to a plant or a bush, he felt the vibrations, the energy of these flowers, and he started to distill them. And so you get your Bach flowers, and you'll know about, the most common one is your rescue remedy. So when you take a rescue remedy, if you're anxious, if you're distressed, that flower remedy is going to calm you down. But there are lots of essences. And when I did the course, it was, again, the most awesome course to do, the most astounding course to do. We would take these essences and we would feel the effects of these plants in our body on an emotional level. It was amazing. And I do use them in my healing as well. It gives me an indication of where people are resonating and helps to lift them out of that space. So they taste bitter and horrible. They don't taste great when you take them. You know you're in a discordant space. As soon as you stop tasting it, you know you're back up to being where you need to be. So really fascinating work. Okay, it would be remiss of me to not talk about breathing with energy healing and how important breathing is. And I could talk for days about breathing. It synchronizes our brain waves to balance our brains. Without having that good balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in our liver levels in our bodies, on a purely physical level, we can't function properly. Can you believe that there are 27 different breathing patterns to choose from? And most of us, and a lot of my clients will know that I pick them out constantly, we don't breathe properly. Again, it's the scourge of the modern day where we bent over, we're sitting here, we're looking at our phones, our chests are collapsed in, we do not know how to breathe. But as soon as we do engage in proper breathing, deep breathing, and probably yoga is one of the best places to learn that, meditation, mindfulness, as soon as we start to breathe, as soon as we get that life energy back into our system, we start to calm down, we start to clear our channels, our energetic channels, we start to feel physically better, and a lot of pain in our body can be relieved just purely from deep breathing and proper breathing. Okay, again, energy and movement, the two just go hand in hand. We know little children running around full of energy, full of the joys of life. They move a lot, they are vital. But as we get older, we start to move less, we have more pain, we have more difficulties, okay? Movement is so essential for the energy in our body. On a physical level, as you see, it activates the spiral structure of our bones, the muscles, the ligaments for growth and for strength. Without that movement, we start to stagnate. Movement also integrates our brain hemispheres. It relieves anxiety and stress. It stimulates our blood and lymph circulation. We just need that endorphin release. And we do become addicted, or some people do become addicted to too much exercise, which in itself is not a great thing. But that endorphin relief brings us up, makes us feel much better. And then the other important thing to know is that emotional tension actually filters down from our head and filters into our body and sits in our bodies on a very real, in a very real way. Interesting to me, I just worked with somebody here in South Africa who had back surgery, then she had hip surgery, then her hip popped out, she was in a huge amount of pain, and she let me work on her very gently. And while I was working on her, she started to shake. Her whole body was shaking, 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 shaking. And she's like, I don't know why I'm shaking. And I said, it's great. You need to shake. Your body needs to let out all of that pent up energy that it's holding on, because while you're holding it, you are creating more stress, more tension, more dis-ease in your system. All animals do that in the wild. When they experience trauma, they come and they survive the trauma, they come away, they literally stand and they shake out that excess energy, that fight or flight response, and it calms their body down. When I had finished with this particular lady, her pain level had gone from there to there. Was amazing. She was in awe of the process. And it was really just a lovely healing session to be part of and to see this dynamic shift for her. So any activity that you're engaging in, that you're using your body, is going to activate endorphins. Hopefully you're going to be outside, you're going to be breathing in good oxygenated air, you're going to be walking, whatever you're going to be doing, you're going to feel much better for it overall. Joe, have I still got time?
What have we got? 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes. Let's quickly talk about intuitive and spiritual energy, because that's really, for me, more than the physical healing. And of course, we can't separate the physical healing from the intuitive, from the spiritual, from the emotive, from what's sitting up here. So let's quickly go back to the sixth sense that we all have, which is that intuitive and spiritual energy. We are sentient beings, which is what I said to you at the beginning. We are clairvoyant, so some of us see. We clairaudient, some of us hear, and some of us, so we're clairsentient, which is feeling, clairvoyant, which is seeing, and clairaudient, which is hearing. And now we're talking about not what we necessarily see in the physical world around us, which we're talking about that extra dimension, okay? It's very real, it's very there, it's very much present. It depends on how tuned in we are. Some people are more tuned in, some people less. Some people are more tuned into seeing things, some people are more tuned into hearing things, some people are more tuned into feeling things, okay? We are energetically linked to the universe and to each other. We keep on forgetting that. So we are children of Hashem. I always say we're spiritual beings having a physical existence right here, but we forget about the energetic link that we have to other people. But if I quickly put it out there, if you think about somebody that you haven't thought about for a while and they call you, that's an energetic link. That's energy showing you right here. That's it happening, okay? So it's so important to be aware of the power of our connection, of the impact of our thoughts, because every thought that comes from here creates a reality for ourselves, whether it's positive or negative. So my top tip to you today is thoughts create energy. Choose the good ones. Create the energy that you want around you. Send it out to the people around you. Let it come back to you. Give it out to Hashem. Let it come back. I've got so many stories on this one that I can share with you about the power of positive thinking. And actually, let me just quickly go back to the lady that I helped a couple of weeks ago. When she got up off the bed and she said she wanted to say, in fact, she did. She said, I can't believe that I'm not in pain anymore. And I said, please don't say that. Don't say I can't believe, because as soon as you say you can't believe, you make that your reality, and your body and your brain, your conscious reality will say, this is not possible, and you will go back to being in pain. It happened with somebody else I worked here. I said, please don't say you can't believe it. She also got up with no pain, but she couldn't step out of that. What happened? Within 3 days, she had fallen. Her reality, her conscious reality made sure that she went straight back to being in a state of pain and discomfort and dis-ease. So choose your thoughts, choose the connectivity that you want, choose the energy that you are creating. Make it positive. Put yourself in a state of high vibrational energy just with your thoughts alone. Any questions on that one? I'm hurrying now. Okay, so an empathic healer, that's what I am, that's what I do. So let me just tell you about what it is that I do. So if you're looking for healing, so we've talked about many kinds of healing, and as I said, intrinsically, we can't just have one without the other. An empathic healer, which is what I do and what I am, and has been an interesting journey in my life. I started off as massage, so purely physical, but even within that physical realm, there was that intuitiveness and that I always brought then into the reflexology, which is really much more intuitive than it is physical for me. And now, since the advent of COVID, where I couldn't physically work with anybody, I've gone only here to being intuitive and spiritual, and I work with clients without seeing them, and I can tune into their energy, which is awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, so what does an empathic healer do? As I tell everybody, I'm only a shaliach, I'm only the messenger service. I am here because my energetic vibration is quite high most of the time, and I am able to see, hear, and feel things that my clients can't necessarily do. So my job is to raise the vibrational energy to facilitate healing for the person who's come to me, okay? I'm able to tune into my clients' physical sensations and feelings. And by doing that, so in my own body, they might not tell me that they got a sore shoulder or that they hurt their knee or they forgot and that their back is sore or that they're feeling sad. I intuitively, empathically feel that, and I am able to hold that space for my client to heal, but also to guide them towards their optimal healing. And I use all of the techniques that I've mentioned and talked about before to provide the best healing outcome for that client. So depending on what kind of therapy that you're looking for, you're going to get one or the other. But hopefully, ultimately, we need to mix and match so that we are getting the best healing. And it may be that on one occasion, you do need to have more physical healing on one, and it might be through sight, one might be through sound, one might be through touch. But ultimately, we are dynamic, energetic beings who need to heal on all of these levels, and they all work. And depending on how attuned you are, and depending on how you resonate and vibrate is what you're going to find that you're most attracted to and what is going to work for you the best. And in a nutshell, we're done. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. What I'm going to do is put my telephone number up there if anybody wants to talk to me anymore.
And I'll send it.
Any questions, but please note I've got 2 telephone numbers. So while I'm outside of the UK, the UK number that everybody does have is only on WhatsApp. And my other number, which you probably don't have, feel free to call me or text me. I will pick up those messages, but I won't if you send a text me. Try to call me or text me on the first number.
I've just put it on. Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, we'll make it easy.
Do the energy work that Chef was going to do.
How long would it be? 5 minutes? How long would you want to do a thing for? Like a meditation?
For a quick meditation, we can do a quick meditation with chakra energy healing. 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes.
2 minutes. Go for it. Go for it. Chocolate, let's go.
You want me to do that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting comfortably now, please. And if you haven't got both feet on the floor, it's good to put both feet on the floor to ground, connect to the energy from the earth, even though you're not necessarily on the earth, but just.
Julia, can you stop sharing and just we can put you on screen?
I can stop sharing. Yes. Let me stop sharing. Okay. All right. Shall I carry on?
1 second. Speaker. What you doing?
I want to make a
Who
big.
taught you how to use it? Must be learning from me instead of the other way around.
Ready?
We all ready? Okay. So everybody can close their eyes and sit comfortably in the chairs. Or if you want to sit on the floor or you want to lie on the floor, now's the time to run and do that. I'll give you a minute. And the reason that we want to be connected to the floor is that the energy from the earth flows up from the earth, and it's going to flow right through our body and out. Now, I'm not covering my hair today because I know we're only ladies, and I love the fact that the energy flows out of my head. So I only cover my hair when I really need to, which is when I'm working with men or boys. Okay. So closing your eyes, feeling your feet on the floor, or if you're lying or sitting on the floor now, feeling your body connected to the floor, and taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just bringing your awareness to the breath, the cool air in your nostrils, the temperature of the air on your skin, the temperature of the air in your nostrils, in and out, and the rise and the fall of your chest and your tummy as that oxygen in and out, in and out, at a very gentle place. And on your next in-breath, I want you to imagine energy coming right from the center of the earth's crust, flowing upwards, drawing it upwards, right through your feet, up through your legs, through your knees, into your hips, into your torso, your arms, up your throat, into your head, and out through the center of your head, and letting that energy flow up into the sky, back to Shemayim. Breathing in and out gently, and imagine this energy flowing from the earth, through your feet, all the way up your body, out through the top of your head, up into the universe. If you want to, you can even imagine it coming down from the heavens above, through the top of your head, right through your body, flowing downwards, washing and cleansing and clearing and cleaning, grounding you as it goes back down into the earth. Just being aware of your body, being aware of any aches or pains or tensions that you're holding. And on that breath, just letting them go, letting them really out, dissipating and disappearing those tiny little atoms back into the universe. Now, on the next in-breath, I want you to imagine breathing in the most beautiful color red in through your feet and letting it come all the way up to your pelvis and your hips, letting it sit there. If you want to imagine it a ball of red energy right down between your legs, you can do that. If you just want to imagine that you're pulling on a pair of red tights and you're pulling it all the way up to your hips, that's great too. Whatever works for you. And as you do that, perhaps you're starting to feel a little more anchored, a little more grounded. And if you're not, that's fine. Put your one hand over your belly button and breathe in now the most beautiful color orange. Again, you might see it as a ball spiraling around, or you might just see it as an energy around your belly. Above your belly button, you can put your next hand there, just above your ribs, color yellow. You might breathe it through your hand, the sunshine from outside, the warmth, the energy, breathing that in just through your hand into that space between your belly and your lower ribs. And your next in-breath, bringing your hand to your heart, feeling the beating of your heart and breathing. You may see pink, you may see green, you may see a combination. Breathing it in through your hand and letting it swirl around your heart center, nourishing, healing, uplifting, loving. On your next in-breath, put your hand on your throat. The color blue sits there, strengthening your communication, strengthening your sense of self expression. Being aware of the breath in your nostrils, the temperature, feeling your feet on the floor and your body in space and time. Bringing your hand to your third eye, that space between your eyebrows, your space of intuition, higher knowledge, breathing in the most beautiful lilac or purple color. Feel it swirling into your forehead and into your head space. And on your next in-breath, imagine above you, from the top of your head, the most beautiful white light, radiating upwards towards Shemayim. In through your nose, out through your mouth, if you're still able. Feeling calm, feeling energized, feeling relaxed, feeling supported. One more that brings that energy, beautiful energy, whatever color you see, if you see it, if you don't see it, bringing it right up through your feet, from the center of the earth, all the way up through your body, whoosh up the top of your head, back up into the heavens. And on the next breath, bringing it down from the heavens, right through your body like a waterfall, washing and flushing everything out, back into the ground, calming and centering you. And when you're ready, and in your time, slowly bringing yourself back into the room, opening your eyes very gently, becoming accustomed to the light. Becoming aware of where you are and how you're feeling. And if you're feeling too calm and you need energy, let's clap our hands. The sound that uplifts us and creates a vibrational energy, and within our body brings another dynamic current of energy into our system.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you, lovely.
Okay, I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you learned something. Anybody who wants to contact me, please feel free. I'm happy to chat more.
Lots of love. Thank you.
Good day. Enjoy. Lots of love and thank you so much.